Ethan stood at the prow of the ship, eyes fixed on the horizon where the mysterious island loomed. Rumored to be a place where mythical creatures guarded untold riches, the Forbidden Isle had lured countless treasure seekers, none of whom had returned. Ethan's heart pounded with a mix of excitement and dread. The sea around the island shimmered with an eerie glow, hinting at the enchantments and dangers that lay ahead. As the ship approached the island, dense fog enveloped it, reducing visibility to mere feet. The crew, seasoned sailors all, whispered tales of past expeditions that had vanished without a trace. Ethan felt the weight of their apprehension, but steeled himself. He had spent years studying ancient maps and legends to prepare for this moment. The ship's anchor was lowered with a splash, and Ethan, along with a small team, disembarked onto the rocky shore. The island's beach was littered with the wreckage of ships and remnants of past explorers. Ethan's team comprised a motley crew: Mara, a skilled archer with a keen eye for danger; Draven, a brawny warrior with a penchant for ancient lore; and Leif, a quiet but brilliant cartographer. Together they forged a path through the thick underbrush, the dense foliage around them teeming with unseen life. The air was thick with the scent of salt and decay, adding to the island's foreboding atmosphere. Venturing deeper into the island, they stumbled upon ancient stone carvings depicting mythical beasts, dragons, griffins, and sea serpents. The carvings seemed to move in the flickering torchlight, an illusion that sent chills down their spines. "We must be cautious," Draven muttered, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. Mara nodded, her bow at the ready. Every step they took seemed to echo through the silent forest, the shadows lengthening ominously. Suddenly a roar echoed through the trees, shaking the ground beneath their feet. The group halted, their hearts pounding. From the shadows emerged a colossal creature, a chimera with the body of a lion, the wings of a dragon, and the tail of a serpent. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light as it blocked their path, a fearsome guardian of the island's secrets. Ethan stepped forward, his voice steady despite the fear coursing through him. "We come seeking knowledge and treasure," he declared. "Let us pass and we will not harm you." The chimera roared again, its breath hot and foul, but it did not attack. Instead, it studied Ethan and his companions with a keen intelligence. Ethan held his ground, his eyes locked with the beast's. Slowly, he reached into his pack and drew out a golden amulet inscribed with ancient runes. "We seek the treasures of this island, and we mean no harm," he repeated, his voice steady. The chimera's eyes flickered to the amulet, and for a moment, the tension in the air seemed to dissipate. The chimera lowered its massive head, its eyes never leaving the amulet. With a final snort, it stepped aside, allowing the group to pass. Ethan let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding, and the group cautiously moved forward. The path ahead was narrow and treacherous, winding through dense foliage and overgrown ruins. The air was thick with the scent of ancient magic, a heady mix of decay and power that made their skin prickle. As they ventured deeper into the island, the jungle gave way to a clearing dominated by a towering, crumbling temple. Vines snaked up its weathered stone walls, and the entrance was flanked by statues of mythical creatures, their eyes seeming to follow the intruders. Mara's sharp gaze scanned the surroundings, her fingers twitching near her bow. "Stay alert," she whispered. "We don't know what else guards this place." Inside the temple, the air was cool and damp, the light filtering through cracks in the stone ceiling casting eerie shadows. Ancient murals adorned the walls, depicting scenes of battles between gods and beasts, heroes and monsters. The floor was littered with bones and broken weapons, a testament to the temple's violent history. Draven knelt to examine a particularly ornate sword, its blade still sharp despite the centuries. "This place is a tomb," he murmured, his voice echoing off the walls. Suddenly the ground beneath them rumbled, and the air filled with a low, ominous hum. Ethan's heart raced as he looked around, trying to identify the source of the disturbance. From the shadows, a figure emerged, a spectral being clad in tattered robes, its eyes glowing with an eerie light. "Who dares to disturb the resting place of the ancients?" it intoned, its voice reverberating through the temple. The team drew their weapons, ready to face this new threat. The spectral being floated closer, its form flickering like a dying flame. Ethan tightened his grip on his sword, ready to defend himself and his team. The spirit's eyes, glowing with an eerie light, seemed to bore into Ethan's soul. "We seek the island's treasures," Ethan said, his voice firm but respectful. We have no intention of desecrating this place. We come seeking knowledge and the riches hidden here." The spirit paused, its glowing eyes narrowing. "The treasures you seek are not mere golden jewels," it intoned. "They are the secrets of the ancients, guarded by beasts and bound by curses. Many have come before you, and all have failed. What makes you think you will succeed where others have perished?" Ethan felt a chill run down his spine, but he stood his ground, feeling the weight of his companion's trust and his own determination. Mara stepped forward, her voice calm but assertive. "We have prepared for this journey for years. We know the risks, and we have the skills to overcome them. We ask only for the chance to prove ourselves." The spirit's gaze shifted to her, studying her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. After a moment, the spirit nodded slowly. "Very well," it said. "You may proceed, but know this. The path ahead is fraught with peril, and only the worthy shall claim the island's secrets." With a wave of its spectral hand, the spirit dissipated into the air, leaving behind a lingering chill. The group exchanged glances, the weight of the spirit's warning heavy on their minds. "We must be cautious," Leif said, his voice barely above a whisper. "The ancients did not take kindly to intruders." Ethan nodded, leading the way deeper into the temple. The air grew colder and the shadows longer as they descended a flight of worn stone steps. At the bottom of the stairs, they found themselves in a vast chamber filled with intricate carvings and glowing runes. The walls depicted scenes of mythical creatures and powerful sorcerers, their eyes seeming to follow the intruders. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, upon which rested a crystal orb, pulsing with a soft blue light. "This must be one of the island's treasures," Draven whispered, stepping closer. But as he reached out to touch it, the ground shook violently, and a deep rumbling growl echoed through the chamber. The ground shook violently, and the rumbling growl grew louder, reverberating through the chamber. Ethan and his team drew their weapons, their eyes darting around for the source of the sound. From the shadows emerged a massive dragon-like creature, its scales shimmering in the dim light. Its eyes glowed with a fiery intensity, and smoke curled from its nostrils. The beast let out a deafening roar, challenging the intruders who dared to enter its domain. Ethan's mind raced as he tried to think of a plan. "Stay together," he shouted over the noise. "We need to find a way to subdue it or escape." Mara nocked an arrow, aiming for the dragon's eye, while Draven and Leif flanked the creature, looking for any weakness in its armored hide. The dragon's tail whipped around, smashing into the walls and sending debris flying. Ethan dodged a falling chunk of stone, his heart pounding in his chest. Mara released her arrow, and it struck the dragon's eye, causing the beast to roar in pain and fury. Seizing the opportunity, Draven and Leif lunged at the dragon, their weapons clanging against its scales. The dragon thrashed wildly, its movements growing more erratic as it struggled to dislodge the arrow. Ethan joined the fray, his sword slashing at the dragon's vulnerable underbelly. The battle was intense, with the dragon's fiery breath scorching the air around them. Despite their efforts, the dragon's strength was overwhelming. Ethan realized that brute force alone would not be enough to defeat the creature. "We need to use the orb," he shouted, pointing to the glowing crystal on the pedestal. "It might be our only chance." Leif, understanding the urgency, sprinted toward the orb, dodging the dragon's swipes and lunges. He reached the pedestal and grabbed the orb, feeling its power surge through him. Holding the orb high, Leif chanted the ancient incantation inscribed on the pedestal. The orb's light intensified, bathing the chamber in a blinding glow. The dragon roared one final time before collapsing to the ground, its body dissolving into a mist that was absorbed by the orb. The ground stopped shaking, and an eerie silence filled the chamber. Ethan and his team stood panting, their bodies bruised and battered but victorious. "We did it," Ethan said, a note of awe in his voice. But this is only the beginning. With the dragon defeated, the team took a moment to catch their breath and assess their surroundings. The orb continued to pulse softly in Leif's hand, its glow illuminating the intricate carvings on the chamber walls. Ethan approached the pedestal, examining the runes and inscriptions. "This orb is a key," he said thoughtfully. "There must be more to this island, and this orb will guide us." They carefully navigated through the temple, following the guidance of the orb, which seemed to react to the environment, glowing brighter when they were on the right path. The winding corridors were filled with traps and puzzles, remnants of the ancient civilization that once thrived here. Each challenge tested their skills and wit, but with determination and teamwork they overcame every obstacle in their path. Their journey led them to a hidden chamber deep within the temple, a place untouched by time. The walls were adorned with gold and precious gems, and in the center stood a massive chest, its surface encrusted with jewels. Ethan approached the chest cautiously, sensing the magic that protected it. "This is it," he whispered. "The treasure we've been seeking." Leif stepped forward, holding the orb out in front of him. The chest responded, the jewels on its surface lighting up in resonance with the orb's glow. As Leif chanted the incantation once more, the chest's lid slowly opened, revealing its contents. Inside were scrolls of ancient knowledge, artifacts of immense power, and riches beyond their wildest dreams. The team stared in awe, realizing the true value of their discovery. However, as they celebrated their victory, a shadow fell over the chamber. The spirit of the ancient sorcerer, the island's true guardian, materialized before them. "You have proven your worth," the spirit intoned, its voice echoing through the chamber. "But with great power comes great responsibility. Use these treasures wisely, for they hold the potential to change the world." The team nodded solemnly, understanding the weight of their find. With the spirit's blessing, they prepared to leave the island, their hearts filled with hope and determination for the future.